Welcome back to another exciting episode of Titans of Food Service. I'm your host, Nick Portillo, and on this episode, I have the pleasure of hosting a true industry titan, Russ Hawkins. As the president and CEO of Agilence, a leading data technology company, Russ brings over 35 years of experience in the technology sector. He's not just a leader, but a visionary who has consistently driven change from the inside, propelling both established organizations and small startups to reach their full potential. Russ is the mastermind behind Agilence, spearheading the development of strategies that fuel their growth of this SaaS analytics and reporting powerhouse. Through Agilence, he empowers retailers, grocers, and restaurants to enhance their operational effectiveness and uncover preventable losses, utilizing the wealth of data already at their fingertips. Whoa. Before his impactful role at Agilence, Russ exhibited his transformative leadership at Silverstorm Technologies, where he served as president and CEO, successfully navigating the company to a lucrative acquisition by QLogic Corporation. Prior to that, he steered Paragon Networks to a successful sale to Carrier Access Corporation, showcasing his prowess in developing wide area backhaul solutions for wireless networks. Outside the boardroom, Russ is not just a tech maestro, but a man of diverse interests. Whether he's on the golf course perfecting his swing, immersed in a good book, or championing the cause of water resource conservation, Russ embodies a dynamic lifestyle and personality. Join us as we delve into the fascinating journey and insights of Russ Hawkins, a true titan in the world of food service technology. Let's go ahead and welcome Russ. Russ, welcome to the Titans of Food Service podcast. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day, out of your week to come on here and share a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks, Nick. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. It sounds like a very interesting organization that you have.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So what I like to do with all of my guests that come on is start off with what I call the Fiery Five food service questions. They're
Uh-oh.
five fun and easy, kind of like icebreaker questions. No right answer, no wrong answer.
Okay, you're going to
Just like
surprise me here, huh?
I'm
That's
going to
good.
surprise you.
All right.
So I know we talked off camera before we started recording that you live in Martha's Vineyard.
I
If
do.
my wife and I, this is question number one, if my wife and I had one night in Martha's Vineyard, where must we eat?
Well, it depends on the time of year, but I think the finest place on the vineyard in terms of fine dining would be a place called the Outermost Inn. And the
Okay.
Outermost Inn is on the extreme west end of the island, and it's run by the Taylor family of music fame. So one of the brothers runs what used to be an inn. It's no longer an inn. It's now only a restaurant, and the staff lives there. So, but it's great fine dining. If you're looking for something a little more casual, I would recommend the Lookout Cafe, which has a big open veranda that faces out on the ocean, and you can see the ferries coming in and out.
Amazing. Thank
Yeah,
you. I was reading online that you graduated from Boston College
I did.
back in 1980. I've been there before when I was looking at schools. I applied to Boston College, and great school. When you during that time, what was your favorite piece of tech at that time? And the reason I asked that question is I know you're now in the technology sector. So I'm curious what your favorite piece of tech at that time was.
You mean in terms of personal use tech?
Yeah,
So
just
we're talking
anything.
about way long time ago now, Nick. We're talking about ancient
Yes.
history, right? So this is before cell phones, before the internet. Uh, so I think this is going to sound a little dated, but little portable recorders was big with me
Nice.
because it allowed me to make audio notes and also to record classes if needed.
I love that.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with any person, historical or living, who would it be and why?
Any person historical. Okay, boy. I think Teddy Roosevelt. I'm a fan of the U.S. presidents, and I have over the last several years I've been reading the biographies of presidents in order, starting with George Washington, and I'm now up to George Bush. But and I could talk about a lot of them, but Teddy Roosevelt has a special place, mainly because he was so progressive and He was looking out for everybody. He's the guy who created the national parks. He did a lot of good things. Some say that he kind of violated, the kind of consensus approach to things, because he did a lot of things on his own. In fact, he had his own party called the Bull Moose Party, and he acted like a bull moose some of the time. So I would find that fascinating to have dinner with him.
Doesn't Obama visit Martha's Vineyard for vacation? Wasn't that a place that he would go
He
to?
does. Yeah, it's the Obamas, the Clintons definitely have been frequent visitors here. There is a very large black population on the island, and it's a long, long history of a place for rest and relaxation for Black Americans. And the Obamas actually own a home here now, and we play golf at the same golf club. So I've seen him around a little bit. Never played with him, but I've seen him around a little bit.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
If you were to start a SaaS analytics and reporting book club, what would be the first book you'd have the group read?
Oh boy. The SaaS analytics and reporting. Well, if you're in the restaurant business, there's a book by a fellow by the name of Modigliani. He founded a company, actually. His name is Damien Mogavero, and he wrote a book called The Underground Culinary Tour. And he has a company called Avero, which is part of his name. But what it's all about is how to use data to improve the operations of your restaurant. So if it's that kind of thing, that's what I would recommend. Damien Mogavera.
Damien Mogavera. Okay. What is the one golf course at the top of your list you'd most want to play or have played before?
Well, the one I would most want to play is Pebble Beach. I've never played Pebble Beach. I'm not that good a golfer. I don't play enough to be a good
Yeah.
golfer. But I grew up in Boston, and I learned to play golf as a caddy. So I spent many years as a caddy, starting when I was 11 years old. And this was at a place called the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts, which is a well-known venue for U.S. Opens. The U.S. Open was there just a couple of years ago. It hosts the Riders Cup. Every year, I do get to play there because we have an annual caddy reunion where 100 or so of us former caddies get to play there, and so I do get to play there quite often. But Pebble Beach is on my list, and I've never been. I've been out there, but not actually on the course.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same. I've been to the area, but I've never been on the actual course.
Outside of the U.S., I think Old Head in Ireland would be the place that I'd want to
Ooh.
play.
Is that a links course?
It's an oceanside. I guess you would call it a links course,
Yeah.
but very, very distinctive, built on an old, essentially a promontory that used to be a castle, and the kind of promontory is kind of protected by this old ancient ruin that used to be the gateway that you had to go into. But it's a really, really magnificent golf course with a lot of history and tradition.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Russ, for humoring me on those the Fire Five food service
Well, you were
questions.
true that they were softballs, so I'm glad you didn't embarrass me by asking something horrifically difficult.
Yes.
So
So maybe a little
much
background for those
appreciated.
listening along or watching along. Who are you? What is your business? How did you get to? Let's just start with who are you?
So my name is Russ Hawkins. I'm the CEO of a company called Agilence, which is a contraction of Agile Intelligence.
Hmm.
That's how that comes. Most people mispronounce it, Agilence. Lot of different ways. But I'm just a dumb Irish guy, I guess, that's been around a long time. Grew up in Boston area. Son, grandson, and great grandson of firemen. So I broke the mold in that regard, and have been in the technology business since the early '80s when I got my first job out of college, and that's evolved over time. So I've touched a lot of different areas. First in the telecom area, the data communications area, the high performance computing area, and then more recently in the software and analytics business, which is what we're all about today. What Agilence is all about.
Amazing. And how did you How did you find the inspiration to start Agilence?
Well, the data world is exploding, right? And the
Yeah.
communication world is simultaneously exploding. And so, I've had all these various experiences in the communications and technology area. And after my company right before Agilence was a high performance computing company. So what
Hmm.
that means is, the way high performance computers are made now, they're basically warehouses filled with racks full of computers. So you've seen them probably in social media and in the motion picture industry. They're kind of these giant hives of buzzing servers connected by a high speed what they call an interconnect, and that's what we made. We made one of these interconnects that held it all together.
Yeah.
So when I sold that company, I wanted to get into the software industry, or more focus on the software side rather than hardware.
Hmm.
And I was looking at the kind of confluence of these technological changes that were happening between the proliferation of the internet, the expansion of the internet, the amount of data that was being produced in most companies, the software applications that were already out there producing lots of data, and yet the problem is that most people weren't able to use that data to make decisions, and so it was a real strange problem that the world had and continues to have to some degree, because we
Hmm.
produce more and more and more data. But when you ask the average person in any enterprise, a store manager, for example, in a restaurant, they don't have the access to it, and if they do have the access to it, it usually requires a level of competence, experience, education that most people don't have. And so I saw an opportunity to try to bridge this, to try to
Mm.
democratize the access to the data that would allow customers to make better decisions. Now, Agilence already existed, so when I got involved with Agilence, I didn't. The original company had a different product than what we have, and so
Mhm.
I came in when it was a very very small 7-person company, really in the video business, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And I basically went out and raised some money and changed the strategy of the company dramatically to focus on data analysis and leveraging data to make better decisions in the day-to-day operation of the companies. And so we started out a little bit in retail, but have in recent years done a more and more and more with restaurants and with restaurant chains, both quick service and fast casual restaurants, as well as table service restaurants. And I learn something new every day, and so that's kind of what keeps me going. And I love creating the community of interest that we've done with all of the people that use our software. We really encourage cross pollination.
Mhm.
And it just really kind of rings my bell. It gives me great excitement to uncover a new way of doing things or a new way of looking at things, and then sharing that with everybody in our community.
What type of data do you look at or provide to your customer base to help them make better decisions?
So most of the data that we use is their data, right? So it's
Okay.
we do add depth and breadth to it, and I'll explain that by what I mean by that in a minute. But I mean, if you go into any restaurant today, there's tons of data being spewed out of various systems. First and foremost, you've got, excuse me, the POS system,
Mhm.
which has depending upon the vendor, it has, they all have a significant amount of data in it, and some of them have more than others, I guess is what I would say. But
Mhm.
the POS data is important. There's kitchen process data, kitchen timers in the QSR business. There's drive-through timers. There's all the back office accounting systems that are used to run the business. There's ordering systems today that's being multiplied by third-party ordering systems and by app-based customer loyalty programs. So there's literally dozens in most cases of data sources that are available. Typically, the way we start with our customers is we start with the POS data. We start with the human resources file, so we know everybody who works at the company.
Okay.
We start with the loyalty information, so we know those customers that have declared their official relationship with the company, and then of course the menu items, and in many cases that includes detail about ingredients and recipes. And then finally, the store information itself. So in multi-store environments, my view, by the way, is that everybody needs to pay attention to data. If you're a single location owner, it's a lot easier for you to do that because you're in there with your sleeves rolled up for the most part, and you can experience it kind of viscerally and daily. But once you have a second location, then you need software like ours or like Avero that can help you figure out what's going on everywhere. Because I can tell you for sure there are things that are happening in the place that you're not, that you wish weren't happening, and so
Mhm.
you want to be able to have visibility into some of these things. So we take all of this stuff, and we add depth and breadth. And what I mean by that is we apply mathematical and statistical operators to the data, thereby expanding the database laterally. And then we add other depth by creating key performance indicators that are essentially actually processes, mathematical
Mm.
processes that create an abstracted amount of data at another level. And so these databases become very big, and we rationalize them or make them compatible with each other so that the average person can ask their questions in English, or using basic mathematical equations. And they don't have to be data scientists. They don't have to understand how the sausage gets made in the background. They can just simply ask the questions, and they can get the kind of answers they need in the time frames that they need to make those decisions. And so it's that existing data, and then as time goes on, we typically add lots of other things. We have some customers that have 20 or 30 different data sources that they bring into the system every time. And I don't want to replace all of these things. I want to be in a position to take essentially all the data exhaust from all of these other systems and put them in a place where we can harmonize them and make them available to the people that are making decisions on a daily basis.
You mentioned that you have a certain customers or a customer that has 20 different data points. What are some of the most important data points or most widely requested data points that you provide?
Well, look, the most important data source in terms of what's making up the database is the POS system. The
Sure.
POS system has a very, very, very rich mine of data. It has not only each transaction item, it has all of the menu items, the ingredients, the cost, the time that it happened,
Mhm.
the length of time that the transaction took, the server, maybe even the meal preparer. These systems, in many cases, have very, very, very rich veins of data that are often either not even understood that they exist, and then definitely under leveraged. And so, the kinds of things that I think about is kind of in three areas. The first ones are all about revenue optimization. How do you
Okay.
improve revenue? And a few examples of that would be, unlocking upsell opportunities. Every restaurant owner wants to upsell, right? You you
Yep.
you want to get that. If you're running a bakery, you want to sell something for tomorrow morning's breakfast in addition to the snack that somebody might be buying today. If you're in a table service, you want to sell that, that bottle of wine that's going to increase your margins, because, as you know, the margins on wine are significantly better than the margins on food, for
Hmm.
example. So unlocking those upsell opportunities is an example. uh, Optimizing the use of promotions. How are the
Mm.
promotions being used? Are they effective? Yeah, are these limited time offers actually delivering the results that you expected? Typically, uh, whether you're running a single operation or a chain, someone's coming up with an idea for a promotion, and you have a hypothesis about how that promotion is going to work. And if I do this, I will raise all the boats and I will sell more across the way. But it's a hypothesis until it's proven. And oftentimes in the historic kind of data access environment, you don't really know until days or weeks later. I'd like you to know immediately whether that is working the way that you expected it. If you have multi locations, are you actually implementing it at every location? We come into situations all the time where stores don't put out the promotional items, so that the customers coming in, the people visiting the stores, don't even know that the promotion exists. And so that's another example. And then, of course, I already kind of mentioned the third party ordering and delivery systems that can be real margin eaters. And so you want to make sure that if you're using Uber Eats or DoorDash or any of these companies, that you're actually getting a revenue lift and hopefully a margin lift in those areas. So that's one whole set of areas where
Yeah.
those kinds of data points are important. Second area is protecting your margins, and
Mhm.
making sure that, for example, unfortunately, that you don't have silent partners working in your store, people that are, working for a wage, but are also supplementing their wages by doing things, by sweethearting or Robin Hooding, as it's called, where
Mhm.
you're giving away food and beverage for friends of yours, and it's a double whammy, right? You're not collecting the money and you're giving away the merchandise, so
That's right.
it can kill you. Food costs. What's your biggest cost in running a restaurant? Is food cost, most likely, or it's either food or labor. And so, being able to effectively manage your labor costs, to be able to predict what your cover requirements are. If you've got a large operation, even if it's a single operation, should you have the entire thing open? Do you have multiple bars? Do you have multiple eating scenarios in there? How do you make assessments about when to close and open those things? And then, food costs, things can happen all the time. I mean, we have situations where customers have had employees that think things like soft drinks are free, right?
Mhm.
Especially post COVID, when suddenly had to hire all of these new servers, and it's might be in a restaurant that has a liquor service, and they're like, well, soda's like water. We just give that away, and that has a not only an impact on your margins and revenues. It has a distinct impact on your food costs. Lots
Mhm.
of opportunity for waste. I mean, all of these things kind of tie together. The third area is around compliance. Are the people doing what they're supposed to be doing in the store? And I think of compliance on two levels. One of them is on the external compliance. So if you're selling liquor, are they properly seeking IDs, right? If they're not, you're putting the restaurant at risk. But the more important one, in my view, is internal compliance, and that is making sure everybody from the bus boys to the maitre d to the managers, they understand what the rules of the road are and what the objectives of the business are, and
Mhm.
what's expected of them. And so this idea of having alignment is very important, and that relates very much to brand, and that relates to customer experience. So there's there's so many data points that could
Yeah.
have value, that what you need to do is separate the wheat from the chaff and get at the ones that are going to deliver the biggest value, and allow you to make the best decisions every day.
Sure. I my wife and I, we recently purchased Aura rings. I don't know if you're familiar with Aura rings, but it has these little light sensors. I'm wearing it right now. It
Yeah,
has
I
these
am
little
familiar.
light sensors on the inside, and my body is emitting uh, everything from calories burned to quality of sleep to stress levels, and this ring now is able to track all of that, and it helps me make better decisions of when to go to bed, maybe when to take a break from work throughout the day, things like that. It's really unique, and I didn't realize the value of personal data to make my life a better, make it a better way to live. And so it sounds like, with what the solution that you're offering to your customer base, it's helping them make better business decisions. It's making their life a lot easier. How do you plug into someone's POS system or into their drive-through timers or kitchen timers?
Well, first on the Aura rings, you're the latest in a string of people that I know that have been adopting those rings, and everybody kind of speaks the same way that you are about the
Mhm.
personal value that they've gotten out of it. And I agree that that's kind of in a microcosm, kind of what I'm talking about here in terms of collecting and making data available so you can make better decisions. Um, we have a very wide range of ways of getting
Okay.
the data, and it depends very much on what's right off the box available. Most of these systems that we're talking about have some ability to kind of output raw data from the systems. Um, Depending again upon the size of the company, we can tap right into that direct feed and then aggregate that with the other direct feeds from other data sources. Excuse me. um, with larger organizations, you'll find companies increasingly adopting what's known as data lakes, and they're creating their own databases for different reasons. We can reach into them and pull out the data that we want. We can we have a data spec, a data specification that if you're a large organization or a multi-location organization, you can format the data with your own IT department and deliver it to us. We've never found a situation where we couldn't wrestle this to the ground one way or the other. Even
Mhm.
today, with the proliferation of companies like Azure and AWS, which are increasingly running software applications, they're developing tools that make this data dissemination and availability much improved. So there's all kinds of things changing in the data realm. We try to stay concurrent with it. And the result is we've developed many ways of doing it, and so it really depends on the situation. And by the way, I think this is applicable in the smallest, single location operation,
Mhm.
all the way up to, I think our largest company has 5,000, 5 or 6,000
Wow.
locations, something along those lines. That's on the restaurant side.
Mhm.
On the retail side, our biggest customer has 15,000 locations. So,
Wow.
but again, I don't want to get overwhelmed by the larger customers. I believe the value in analyzing the data and democratizing the data can help any organization, regardless of what size it is.
What's next for Agilence?
Well, we're moving in a lot of different directions. We have recently added a case management capability. So this is to track incidents, regardless of what the incidents are. Could be somebody slipping and falling in your store, or could be just related to auditing your operation. So we have a store audit capability in there. Again, many of these things are for larger companies. Um, Ensuring that you're delivering a consistent customer experience is very important. So, task management is another area that we're moving into now.
Mm.
But one of the biggest areas is using AI, which we're about to make our first announcement on AI just this week.
Wow.
And in that area, what we're doing is essentially scoring almost any aspect of the business. So, for example, you could score the effectiveness of your servers, or if you're in a QSR environment, you can score the effectiveness your cashiers that are running the cashiers. You can score the effectiveness of a promotion. You can score the effectiveness and the reasonableness of any transaction. On the margin protection side, you want to look at some of the things I talked about earlier about are people pocketing money, right? Are they misusing the tips? Are they giving away stuff and charging the same amount but pocketing 30% tips or 50% tips on there? So AI can be used to handle any kind of large data set if you're and it gets better over time, right? So the way this stuff works is you enlist your team to kind of score events as you go along, and as the software comes to know what's a good event versus a bad event, then it can start to predict whether the next event is going to be good or bad, and that can help you make decisions not only in real time but maybe before they even happen. So
Hmm.
we're very, very interested in what's happening with artificial intelligence and machine learning. We think some of the mobile apps will start adopting some of these technologies and making it easier to order your favorites, maybe even not have to even interact with them, to just
Hmm.
exist and show up, and we already know everything there is to know about you. Now some of this is a little 1984ish, but I like to draw a line between the personal data and the operational data, and it's
Yeah.
it's mostly about operational data from my perspective. We want to serve customers better. Everybody wants to serve their customers better. We want to serve our employees better. I mean, I think it's a
Hmm.
virtuous circle, if you ask me. If you take care of your people, you give them clear direction on what they want to do, they will take care of the customers. And if
Yeah.
the customers are taken care of, then they're going to take care of the business. And so everybody's going to be happy. It's a virtuous circle, right? People take care of the customers, customers take care of the business, business takes care of the people.
Right.
It just is a cycle that continues to work over and over again.
Very well said. For those listening along, what's the best way to reach out to you or to connect in to learn more about Agilence?
So it's we have our website is Agilence Inc. It's
Okay.
AGILENCEINC.com. I'm R Hawkins at agilenceinc.com. I'd love to hear from any of your listeners. Be happy to chat with them. It's the way that I learn, and it's the way our company learns is to make sure that we listen and share. And so I'd love to hear from any of your listeners.
All right. Well, Russ, thank you again for taking time out of your day to come on, meet with me, share about yourself and Agilence. I really enjoyed our conversation, so thank you.
Well, Nick, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I always love you. I'm, as I said, I'm an Irish guy and I love to talk. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks very
Of
much.
of course. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, you too.